Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm welcoming you to the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. Today is a special day. The American Business Podcast is welcoming a new podcast within the American Business Podcast network. I like to share this great news with you, and I like to also introduce you to the new podcast episode today. And let's invite our host for the new podcast that I like to introduce, and let's talk about the details together with you. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the American Business Podcast.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you. Appreciate you letting me host a channel on your channel or a sub channel on your American Business
Yes,
Podcast channel.
absolutely. Well, let's also put the logo up. I think that it's time we are welcoming International Leadership Podcast to the American Business Podcast network. I'm honored that Joe Beauchamp is with us, and he's hosting the International Leadership Podcast on the American Business Podcast network. Joe, welcome to the club.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. So
Yes,
after I was on your podcast back, I don't know, a couple months ago now, and
yes,
hearing your success and how well you've grown your subscribers for the American Business Podcast. I've wanted to do a
appreciate it.
podcast for a really long time, and I'm like, you're the person to follow. So let me just jump on your bandwagon and share in your success and help build your success as well, and
Appreciate it.
hopefully you know advance values-based leadership really globally, internationally, get the word of good values-based leadership out around the US and around the world.
Absolutely. I'm honored to have you and Beauchamp team. You have a special place for me. I always say that you are the leadership guru, and I always learn from you. And I'm glad that you are with us in the American Business Podcast. Now we can take your insights and your professional wisdom nationally and internationally. Hence the name, the International Leadership Podcast. It's such a beautiful podcast name that you found, and I'm glad that we join forces in the American Business Podcast together. And now we can talk more about leadership. Our audience know, so we always keep our content educational, and we talk about business. And leadership is a fundamental part of business. Any business type
Absolutely.
of activity that we need to put it together. So with these introductions and with these inauguration of the International Leadership Podcast, let's talk about a little bit more, if that's okay. I like our audience to know more about your vision as well as the leadership, International Leadership Podcast. So so let's talk about your vision. So what do you like to achieve, and why the American Business Podcast audience and business community in general, national and international, should listen to and watch the International Leadership Podcast.
Absolutely. So from the time that I was a little kid, I always considered that I'd like to have this impact on the world, to kind of make the world a better place. And for a period of time, I thought, you know what, the answer really to all the world problems can be solved with doing, scientific discovery. If there was cures to diseases and feeding the hungry and, solving major world problems using scientific discovery, that's what really would make the biggest impact on the world. And of course they do. Like, we have tremendous advances in science, and really feeding the hungry and solving and curing diseases. And but what I started to realize back probably over 30 years ago was that most of the problems in the world are really not the result of a lack of discovery or lack of information. They were a lack of leadership. And so, as we can tell, like, we know that as people elevate their leadership, they elevate their performance, they elevate their results, their teams get better, stronger, healthier, their countries get better, stronger, healthier. So much change can occur if you have good leaders, and if those leaders are leading with values-based leadership principles. So we know that there's a difference between good, effective, long-lasting leadership versus maybe short-term type leadership. So I'm here to promote the good, effective, research-based leadership strategies.
I love it. Well, earlier today, I was invited to an event. I had a chance to talk to a group of business owners and entrepreneurs. And we did talk about technology, but we also talk about leadership and how leadership is important to modernize and revolutionize organizations. And to your point, we can talk about many different subjects or different industries within the business concept. However, leadership is the paramount. It's fundamentally important for organizations to take uh, their institution, their organization to the next level, and leading is critical. So, having said that, what made you start International Leadership Podcast from your point of view?
So I've always I shouldn't say always, but for the last few years, I've wanted to do a podcast, really just to get more of the word out to help others to elevate their leadership strategies, mindsets, potential communication styles, and their teamwork skills, the morale, emotional intelligence, building community and culture within their organizations. And I thought, how can I really get the word out? Writing books, doing a podcast, doing a radio show, doing speaking engagements, doing my business, Beauchamp Team Growth Solutions, helping businesses one at a time to, develop their leaders and their companies. So really it's part of this, greater picture of just having an influence into the culture. And, I know that your podcast has an international reach. And I thought, why
Yes.
think small? Initially, I was actually thinking small. I was thinking, let's just do Long Island leadership. And then I thought, well, let's just do American leadership. And I'm like, why not? Why not do international leadership? We have an international base already. Leadership principles are universal. They work everywhere. They're good values-based leadership principles. We're not talking about someone that's going to work here in the United States and not work in, some country halfway around the world. So these are leadership principles. They're tried and true. We know that they work. They work internationally. We have the international reach. Thank God for the internet and the reach of social media and podcast and YouTube and all these social media podcast channels. We know that they reach globally. So why not? Why not do international leadership? And I'm looking forward to having international leaders on this podcast. So it's not just going to be, it's just going to be not going to just be a name. There'll be international leaders here on this podcast.
Yes, this is really exciting. And to your point, you are right. The American Business Podcast has a pretty large international audience, the viewership. That is true. We have about 50 countries, audience from 50 different countries watching. Maybe more, I must say. I have to say though, we have viewers and listeners from every single continent except Antarctica. So
Antarctica.
then, yes.
So hey, Antarctica, listen up, subscribe.
So which is great.
Well, let's
So
see. It's summertime down in Antarctica right now, so hopefully there's a little more population down there.
that is true. That is true. So well, so in that sense, definitely. So your vision in that sense just makes sense and really it's in alignment with our audience and leaders, our viewers definitely, and leaders watching from other continents and other countries. The American Business Podcast. What you just mentioned in terms of sharing leadership insights internationally, it just aligns. So I definitely welcome these.
Yeah.
These and this
Wanted
is
to
this is
say,
really exciting.
it is super exciting, and thank you for opening up this opportunity. Some people
My
don't
pleasure.
consider themselves leaders, and the reality is everyone can lead. Everyone can have an influence on the world around them, whether it be in a business. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, a business owner. You don't have to have a level of leadership. You don't have to have a title to be a leader. Like anybody can be a leader. You just have to have a vision and have a positive influence on the people around you, making the world just a little bit of a better place using something that's been put in you, your skill set, your mindset, your experiences, make the world around you a better place. And you're a leader. And I'm here to help elevate that mindset and those strategies for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And okay, well, moving forward, what should the American Business Podcast audience expect from International Leadership Podcast?
So expect great guests who are either leaders in industry, nonprofits, government, social leaders, any kind of person who has experience in some form of leadership. We're going to find out how they did it. How did they overcome challenges? I'll tell you, growing is difficult. Making change is difficult. Being a leader, creating something positive is difficult. And so every leader has a story of them overcoming adversity, challenges, and difficulties. And I would like for them to share those stories. And we're going to break them down into usable, repeatable strategies, right? So you might be hearing from, some government leader in some other country, but that person has used good leadership strategies to overcome their challenges that can be used in, your local solopreneur or small business here on Long Island or anywhere in the world. Like, the leadership principles are replicatable. And so we're going to break down what actually worked and how it worked. And then we're going to go into something which I think is kind of unique. We're going to do some live coaching, actually go through, what are you dealing with right now? So whoever the guest is, what are they currently dealing with? And we're just a live coach and strategize. How do we overcome those challenges? What are some strategies that we can use to overcome those challenges? And then we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of change we can implement.
Absolutely. Having said that, well, our audience, they know, but I need to bring it to the screen. Well, if you'd like to be a guest in the American Business Podcast, and specifically for the International Leadership Podcast, you can send us an email, guestbooking@americanpodcast.tv. And if you like to have the conversation, and if you like to also be part of the International Leadership Podcast, you can just also mention it in your email, guestbooking@americanpodcast.tv, and we'll make sure to also put you in schedule as a guest. We have a long list of guests that we are organizing nowadays, and with International Leadership Podcast, we are expanding our scope. And just like Joe mentioned, what actually he likes to do within his vision is also very helpful for organizations, small companies, mid-sized organizations, enterprise companies, non-profits, just like he mentioned, government organizations in terms of leadership practices. So they're all welcome to be part of this conversation. It is because, just like Joe mentioned, leadership is universal, and the principles are universal. And we have a lot to talk about in that sense, and discuss, and also learn from Joe. I know, Joe, you are very modest, very down to earth. That is how you are, but also I hope you can also talk about fundamentals of leadership as well in your podcast for all of us to learn from you, hopefully, in addition to the
Absolutely.
guest. Yeah, that'd be also, I'm sure, very helpful.
I started my leadership journey back in 1995. So that's, at this point, it's over 30 years of leadership experience. I've been a student of leadership. I've read hundreds of books at this point, been to seminars and trainings. I'm certified through one of the largest leadership development organizations in the world, the Maxwell Leadership Team. So, I surround myself with leadership. I surround myself, I listen to leadership in the car every day while I'm driving back and forth to wherever I'm going. I'm like, I fill my mind, I fill my heart with, good leadership strategies, ideas, mindsets, principles. And that's what I share. I try to just help everyone break down what they need into usable steps that you can implement starting today to increase the influence that you have to make your world a better place, whether it's your family, whether it's your personal health, mental health, your corporation, whatever. If you're a small business, a major corporation, I don't care if you're the president of a country, there's good leadership strategies that we can help you implement to make your world a better place.
Okay, well, how about the frequency? How often International Leadership Podcast will be streamed?
Right now, it's going to be once a week. And if I end up with a long line of people too, I'm going to go to twice a week and maybe more frequently than that. But at minimum, you're going to expect us at least once a week to have fresh content coming out.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, well, again, I'd like to welcome you to the American Business Podcast Network. I'm honored and I'm very excited to have you as International Leadership Podcast host. And I'm looking forward to also learning from you moving forward. And I'm also excited for our audience, our viewers, to be able to join these podcasts and learn from you as well. So,
awesome.
Joe,
so
again, welcome. and looking forward to the next steps.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to our audience and to our listeners, the International Leadership Podcast will be part of the American Business Podcast. When you go to the American Business Podcast YouTube channel, and when you go to the podcast section, you'll be able to see the International Leadership Podcast episodes there. We'll store them there, and we'll offer you from there. And as part of the American Business Podcast, we're gonna promote it together. And we're going to talk more about leadership and also fundamentals of leadership, as well as the national and international examples and use cases. So I'm also looking forward to these. And to our viewers and audience, thank you again for your help and support. Within less than a year, the American Business Podcast come a long way. We received YouTube Silver Award. We actually passed 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Now we are getting close to 150,000 YouTube subscribers. And thanks to your support, that really motivates us, and we are expanding our scope, and we are having new podcast segments and more detailed subjects such as leadership, and hence the International Leadership Podcast coming. So thank you very much for your support, and stay tuned. And Joe, thank you very much again for being with us, and welcome to the American Business Podcast.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.